So what are we doing today?
Well, last time we got the Raspberry Pi all working eventually. So now what we want to do is start thinking about connecting that to a camera and maybe even starting to get the spectrometer kind of boxed up and put together. And if we're going to start doing things that are using lots of image processing, it's quite a lot of energy required to make that sort of stuff. And so the chip will warm up, so I think we should pop that heatsink on top of the chip before we go any further.
Is this the heatsink?
That's right. So this little thing here, it's got a very high surface area. That's the way that heat sinks work. They need to get the heat away from the chip, so it conducts heat very well away from the chip, and then it's got a much bigger surface area, which lets the air cool it down. Hi, this is Grace.
Hi, this is Neil.
And together, we're Atomic Kitchen. Okay, so what we have here is the Raspberry Pi. What you'll see in here is this little chip here. That's the bit that does all the work. That's the bit that gets hot. Let's leave this open because we're going to connect the camera into this port here as well. Okay, so to enclose our spectrophotometer, we have built a little construction from Lego. It's not particularly great, it's not particularly clever, but it will do the job. So you can see in the top here, there is that black post, Grace, that that post there, and attached to the front of that, I don't know if you can quite make it out there, is the Raspberry Pi camera, and you can see it comes out the side. Yeah, so you can maybe just make out at the bottom of that post there, yeah. Oh, and we've left the protective cover on it at the moment. We'll take that off in just a moment. On the front, we've got two razor blades. They're there to make a nice sharp image. And then we've got a space here where a diffraction grating drops in. Okay, so we've got the cover off the lens, we've got the diffraction grating in now, thank you Grace, and then what we're going to do is pop a couple of bits on top to kind of close up that box. So that closes it in. It's not completely light tight, so we've got some hole at the side there where the camera comes out. That's obviously going to mean the light can get in there. The seals on the front are not perfect, and then there's some little tiny gaps around the back as well. But if we're careful, we can probably do enough to get an image out of this and do some analysis, and we'll make a better box once we understand exactly what we're doing. Well, how many hands did that take to get connected?
8 million.
Okay, and we've now got the board back in. We'll pop the front back. So we've managed to connect that up so that we have the Raspberry Pi connected to the camera. The Raspberry Pi's got the heatsink on, and we've got it all inside the case, and we've just got it kind of propped up at the moment while we get this working. So Grace, I am happy for you to reconnect the power supply to that Raspberry Pi.
This into here.
Okay, and if we're all ready, I'll turn it on at this end.
And I'm ready here.
And we should see some green blinking
Yay.
lights, which is great. Okay, and then we will go and see what the Raspberry Pi is doing in just a second once it's booted up. So we're going to do this through this connection called SSH. We've already set that up and it's working. And I'll make a separate video sometime that shows people how to do that if they've never done it before. First thing we did before we set up the SSH was we enabled the camera in the Raspberry Pi settings. So the camera's enabled, we rebooted the Pi, we've logged into it by SSH, and what we can see on the screen is exactly the same as if we were using the command prompt on the Raspberry Pi itself. So let's type Python, and type Python 3 and return. Okay, so that has launched a little interactive Python interpreter. Okay, so what that's going to do is these little 3 arrows here, they mean type me a command or give me a command. Okay, and you can type any command in there you want, and if Python knows how to process it, it will do it. So the first thing we're going to have to tell Python is that it's going to be using a Raspberry Pi camera, and we do that by saying, okay, and that's saying go to the Pi camera module that's already on the Raspberry Pi, comes pre-installed, and then import the library called Pi camera so it knows how to use the camera. Okay, we need to do the same again. This time it's from time import sleep because we need to be able to do something and return. So what's happened here is we've told it to start previewing. So that's like when you have something in the viewfinder on your camera. Yeah, we wait for 5 seconds. Okay, it took us longer than that because we had to type it in. Okay, and then we said capture the image and save it as this image.jpg, and then stop preview. Okay, so that would then be saved as onto our desktop as a JPEG file. So let's go and see if we have a JPEG file there. So if you quit, so that's change directory, that's what we're saying there, and then desktop with a capital D. And then if you do ls, hopefully we're going to see image.jpg. So I think it's fair to say that we are reasonably excited. We've just managed to get the first image out of the spectrometer using the setup we described before. So we've got some light coming in through to razor blades forming a slit, through the 1000 line per millimeter diffraction grating and directly onto the camera, as you can see in this image here. And you can see that there's some sort of spectrum there. And we managed that in terms of actually setting up the spectrometer quite quickly, in terms of actually getting some of the software to work around connecting to the Raspberry Pi without a keyboard and a TV screen. That was probably much harder. So I think if someone was trying to do this and had no experience at all, I think it would make sense to have a monitor connected and a keyboard connected directly. Otherwise you're into some quite hard work to try and do things there. And we might still actually go back to look at that ourselves, Grace.
So that brings us to the first major milestone in this project. Managing to get an image of a spectrum onto a Raspberry Pi camera and then capture that image so that we can do further manipulation with it. If you want to see how that manipulation is going to work and what we're going to do,
subscribe so you can hit that notification bell, and then whilst you're there, how about you smash that like button?
and if you're wondering what this is all about and why we're doing this, then these images on the screen, you can click them and they will take you to videos that will explain exactly what we were thinking. That should keep you busy, but for the meantime,